Welcome to Inside the Thunder. I'm KD Hudnall, and on this show, I go one-on-one with some of the most recognizable names in Marshall athletics history. He's tied for first on the single-season sacks list at Marshall, number 7 on the career sacks list. His 17 sacks in 2024 led the nation. He's a Walter Camp All-American, a first-team All-Sun Belt Conference selection, the 2024 Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year, and a Sun Belt Conference champion. Today, we're going inside the Thunder with Mike Green. Thanks for downloading this very special episode of Inside the Thunder, brought to you by IgniteLink, the Tri-State's premier IT management team. For those of you who don't recognize who's on the screen with me today, let me just bring you up to speed a little bit. This is one of the most dominant defensive linemen that we have ever seen come through Huntington, West Virginia, and we've seen quite a few come through over the years. We watched a season of absolute domination. We saw the record books get rewritten, and for those of us who appreciated what we saw in real time, it was amazing to watch. Ladies and gentlemen, I have none other than Mike Green sharing the screen with me today. Mike, thank you a million times over for agreeing to do the show with me and talking and bringing the Herd fans a little closer.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure to be here.
God dang, this is really awesome. So you're going to have to forgive me for a second before we get into this, because I got to put my fan hat on for a second, and then I'll take it right back off. It was a meteoric rise for you this season in 2024. It was an absolute pleasure to watch you work every single week. I've seen a lot of great players come through Marshall, and you are in some very, very rarefied air when it comes to the all-time Herd grades. I just want you to know that. So before I even ask the first question, I got to say, as a fan first, thank you for all of the hard work, all of those exciting plays, all the wins, and for being an integral part of bringing a conference championship back to Marshall University. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, man, of course.
Such a humble guy, such a quiet guy. That's one of the things that I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, man, because that is a part of your game that just boggles my mind, man, and I love every bit of it. But as we get into this, we can't really even talk about 2024 until we examine a little bit of 2023 for a second. At that time, you were splitting some time with two great defensive lineman pass rushers and guys, Sam Burton and Owen Porter, right? I mean, guys that Herd fans absolutely loved. And here comes this Mike Green that is just as athletic as hell. And we're like, man, who is this guy? And you're fighting for time with those guys. Can you tell me a little bit from your perspective, what did you see in the game of those two guys in particular that you kind of said, you know what, I like that style. I'm going to add that to my playbook.
Yeah, first I can start off with Owen. He's the type of guy that keeps his head down and continues to work and drive regardless of the situations. He was kind of like that dude that everybody's seen that just it was represented Marshall the best. And he was just a great guy to be around. He showed me a lot of things, and when it comes down to Sam Burton, he's also a great guy. He taught me a lot of things skill wise, and he's just a good dude to just have in your corner. He was always there, like whenever I needed some help or some assistance. So props go off to those two guys. It was a pleasure playing with them.
Yeah, I knew it had to be. I mean, I imagine it was a lot of fun being in the room, like not just for you having fun. I'm saying just a guy in the room. That's a lot of football knowledge. That's a lot of skill, a lot of athletic ability. I mean, the trio of you guys was really, really fun to watch. And I think it really started to springboard what we thought we were going to see in 24. So the Herd ended 23, 6-7, lost to UTSA in the Frisco Bowl, right? We all remember that. So post-season, what's the mindset of Mike Green as you're starting to head into 2024?
Yeah, the end of 2023 season, the coaches and the players, they were starting to look up to me as those type of guy that can lead this team. And I think towards the back end of the 2023 season, I continue to take a great leap into and my ability to play on the field. And normally the guys that are playing great on the field are great guys off the field. And I guess like I kind of just been presented with the role to just be that type of guy that is able to lead players. And I took full accountability of it. And I feel like just the team, the players, the coaches, and the staff just had an incredible amount of belief in me. And and then shoot, from there is just like, hey man, like why not?
So is that I don't know how to phrase this. Is that something that you welcomed? Did you see that as pressure, or did you see that as more like, no, I got this. These are we're gonna head into 24 like we're about to do something here. How
Yeah.
did how did that resonate?
I think I'm the type of guy that goes off of expectations. So when somebody is presenting me with something, I take it head on. And if the team needed me to be a leader, and if the coaches needed a guy to step up and have people follow behind them, then that was what I was going to take over.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think we all know how it worked out, right? Pretty daggone well. So moving into 24, this is your second season now with the Herd. Second season, maybe more importantly, with defensive line coach Ralph Street, another all-time Herd great. So what can you tell me and Herd fans that really only know a lot about Ralph from his playing days, right? Ralph and I are of the same age. He was a player when I was a student. So I know a lot more about Ralph's game from the player side of things. What can you tell us about Coach Street as a coach?
Yeah, first and foremost, he's spectacular, man. Like I can sit here and rant about Ross Street for days, but he's the type of guy that every player needs in their corner. And he was always there for me. He makes sure that I was good, not just football wise, but off the field also. And just Ralph, man, there's just so many good things to say about him. He's just a great dude, man. It's just he taught me a lot of things. He taught me and told me when I was wrong. He told me and taught me when I was right. And I think as a coach and as a player, well, as a player to a coach, it's like, what more can you ask for? All the lessons and things that he taught me wasn't necessarily easy and to obtain, but it surely paid off in the back end.
I imagine there's a lot of trust, right? You have to have trust because as a guy that is 5 foot nothing, 100 and some nothing pounds, right? We are not in the same stratosphere, right? Physically, athletically, we're not in the same stratosphere. But I got to imagine there's got to be a lot of trust there because a guy like Ralph has to say, look, man, you got to, I can see, I can see farther than you can see right now. I can see
Yeah.
what you can be. You just got to trust me. Was he the type of guy that was I kind of put your faith in me, or was he more of a look? I'll lay out the pathway for you so you can see what the steps we're going to take. How would you categorize that? Was there a lot of faith, or was it no? I'm going to spell it out for you, and this is what we're going to do.
Yeah, he was more so of the type of dude that's like, "Hey, you got to trust me, man." Like Ralph. He's been through a lot, and he knows the ups and downs of things, and since he was able to go through the things, he's able to teach other people that's going in the same direction, and he knows where I want to go. So he's seen people and coached people that made it to the league, and those were just things that he could teach me, and I just felt like as a coach, he's just a great guy to just be coached by, and he's just great overall.
Also offers the unique perspective of being a defensive lineman in Huntington, right? Not
Yeah.
just a collegiate defensive
No.
lineman, a guy that knows what it means to play in Huntington in front of the fans of Jones C. Edwards Stadium, which is a at times unique experience. Let's put it that way. So we all know at the end of 23, you mentioned this. We all knew this, especially us on the Thundercast. You were poised to be one of the best defensive linemen in the Sun Belt Conference, and even we had you understated, right? We thought he's going to be one of the conference's best. What happens? You turn out to be one of the nation's best defensive linemen in 2024. We had no clue we would witness a historic season, a record book rewriting season. But that's exactly what we saw. So, what were your goals for yourself, both personally and for the team, as you headed into 24?
Yeah, I want to say first for the team, the goal was to win the Sun Belt championship. We had a lot of new guys that came in the program and a few new coaches, and we were trying to shape the culture of the team. And I think we just did a great job, and Huff did a great job of letting us figure things out on our own and letting us build as a team. And then at the end of it, we end up getting what we always wanted, and we wanted to make history, being the first football team at Marshall to win the Sun Belt championship, and we did so. As a player, it was kind of like, hey man, I just want to have my shot at the league. I wouldn't say I necessarily knew like uh, it would come to this, but I definitely had some faith in it though, for sure. I think just the type of guy I'm always striving to just be better. So it's like, even though my status could be good right now, like I want to be great. So I think just having that kind of mentality ended up me just being successful in the long run.
Was there a point during 24 when you were like, all right, I'm kind of on one this season. Like it's kind of freaking clicking right now. Like I started out strong. Well, I'm still going strong. Like, holy, we're 2/3 through the way. I'm
Yeah.
still going strong. So was there a moment when it was like, all right, I'm on to something here?
Yeah. I think a lot of people might just say the Ohio State game, but I kind of got to disagree on that, man. It's the game against Coastal Carolina. We got the I got the strip sack, and it just totally just changed the game around. I got guys to step up and make some plays, like Chris scoop and score
Mm-hmm.
the for a touch. Well, I don't think it was a touchdown. I think he got short of the yard, but it gave opportunities for guys to make more plays, and then later on I end up getting another sack, and it's just like the second time it was just like the game was over with,
Mm-hmm.
and that meant a lot more to me rather than just my personal success at like at the Ohio State game. The Coastal game just meant like so much more, because we have a history of losing against Coastal, and when we were just out there, and I'm able to help my team out, man, like it was just great.
We had, yes, the recent bugaboo of losing games to Coastal, but we also have a much longer history of guys having these great games for 75 week, right? And that's you'll hear fans talk about it, and as you grow older and you it comes full circle for you, and you get to immerse yourself in being an alum and a fan of Marshall, you'll be like, dang, that really does happen. And you see JJ and Jacoby make the play, the blocked field goal that goes for touchdown, and then your strip sack, and then what was it, on a fourth down? Was that what, a fourth down sack? Was that what that was?
I think
I
so.
think
Like it
so
was a have
too.
to pass situation.
I think it was a fourth down drive ending, game sealing, play. And that's, I'm with you. Like 75 week against Coastal Carolina. I mean, I can't get inside your head and say that's when it was, it clicked for you, but everybody's going to point to Ohio State.
Yeah,
That's the marquee opponent on the schedule. And you made a play on the biggest stage of the season for the Herd in the biggest venue away in front of
yeah,
100,000 people, and but I love it. As a Herd fan right here in my heart, it feels good to say, no, man, it was against Coastal at home at the
yeah,
Joan in front of everybody. I love
yep,
that, man. Appreciate the heck out of that one.
yeah,
Let me tell you some things that you already know. All right. In 13 games this season, you racked up some friggin' video game numbers. You know them, but I'm going to talk about them. 17 sacks, 16 solo sacks, both number one in the country, 144 sack yards, number one in the country. Oh, by the way, 42 more yards than the number two guy, by the way. 22 and a half tackles for loss. Good for number two in the country. But hey, number one has just one more tackle for loss than you, and he played three more games.
right,
155 tackle for loss yards, also good for number one in the country. And oh, by the way, 30 more yards than the number two guy in that category. So what does that say to you in those impact plays, in those impact categories? What do those numbers say?
Yeah, I think at first, it shows you the type of team that we had, and second, it shows you what type of player I am. The team, of course, like they set me up to be successful, and when everybody's collectively making the effort and doing what they're supposed to do, it opens up opportunities for me, and I couldn't thank the team more for my personal success. But hey, man, it's just a pleasure to play with those guys, and it meant everything. And without one person on that field, it probably would have changed up everything. So I'm extremely thankful for everybody that contributed to the team. And
I get that. And I'm not trying to take anything away. I did not mean to cut you off. I understand that Mike Green has the gaudy stats. Mike Green earned the gaudy stats, first and foremost. Let's be real. But I understand it takes guys like Jabari Ishmael. It takes guys like Jaden Yates and J.J. Roberts and at every level to
yeah,
make plays. But and I respect the game of those guys. You were also getting double teamed a lot, and still found your way to the quarterback. That's just impressive. That's just very impressive. Um, the humbleness just keeps coming out of you, my man. I love the you're so gracious with sharing the credit, and we all understand that football's a team game. I love that. But that's not all. You've got a PFF grade of 92.4. What the heck are we even doing here? 92.4 with a 91.4 pass grade, a 90.2 run grade. Like, the analytics say you are a game wrecker. They say you are a game breaker, right? You were the 2024 Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year, not Defensive Player of the Year, Player of the Year, a first-team All-Sun Belt Conference selection, and named an All-American by a number of outlets, including the prestigious Walter Camp Football Foundation, also by the AAP, the Football Writers Association of America, and the American Football Coaches Association. Geez, you helped lead Marshall to their first conference championship in a decade since 2014, the first 10-win season since 2015. Mike, this is big-time stuff for guys in Huntington. A 7-game win streak that's going to ride over into next season. And maybe the best one of all, I don't know, undefeated at the Joan. Like, geez, man, can I have your autograph, for crying out loud? This is amazing. The 2014 was amazing, and defense, of course, is led by you. Now, we talked about what those impact plays mean, what those numbers say. Everything else I just said, the PFF grade, the postseason accolades, All-American, how does that resonate with you personally?
I think personally, I'm just a walking example of you get everything out what you put into it. And I've been living like that since I could even remember, man. And I'm just a strong believer of the work that you put into it, the character that you are, and how and what you do, and how you go about things will show you what you can get out of it. And if you're doing it the right way, it all falls along, man. Like regardless. What you did to get up to that point, if you just continue doing what you do, then hey man, like it will come along.
Yeah, this is one of the most decorated single seasons in Hurt history, and we've had some great ones. I've said this before. There are some great players. You mentioned earlier about your just this developmental leap, right? Defensively, I don't know that I've seen a bigger leap in production from year over year. Most of the time, when we as Herd fans are talking about this, it centers around the quarterback position and the meteoric rise of statistically the best passer to ever come through Marshall, Rakeem Cato. His freshman to sophomore year was amazing, and it's on par with that. We just don't see that defensively, because it's the stats just don't add up the same. Passing yards and sacks, they just don't add up the same. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I worked really hard on how to craft this next question so that it was. I'm not trying to get some sort of viral moment. Let me put it that way. Let's talk about the Senior Bowl. You go to the Senior Bowl, you get the invite, you get a couple of practices, and if there were any doubters, you silenced the remainder of doubters with a huge moment. And the narrative was, Well, Mike Green is explosive. Mike Green is productive. He led the nation in sacks, but Mike Green plays G5 football. Mike Green's a monster. Mike Green's got a high motor, but Mike Green played at Marshall. How does that make you feel when you hear that?
Yeah, man, it's definitely tough for sure. And it's a little frustrating. I know in some cases, like it could be like a guy that plays G5 or a lower level conference that has a little shine just because they play in that conference. But you can't put that on every person's case. Like I think my situation was different, and like just going to the Senior Bowl and being able to just ball out there is just it was relief. Like it was everything I wanted because I wanted to close mouths, of course. Like I wanted to show everybody that no, I'm not just a G5 player. No, I'm not just a guy that just sparked out of 1 year. Like no, like I'm this dude that can compete at the highest level and the best of guys in the country.
Yeah. And I think also along those lines, it says that you can come to a place like Marshall University and be the best in the nation at what you do. You can, the logo on the side of your helmet doesn't matter. It's the man inside the uniform, right? And you're just looking for the right opportunity, the right fit. Marshall just happened to be the right opportunity and the right fit for you to showcase your skills and for you to develop your talent. And look where we are. You were talked about earlier in the season by some people as, hey, he could potentially be a first round pick. And as the season went along, it was like, wow, this guy's really, really good. And now we get to the end of the season and it's like, I think maybe he's a lock, like that's what people are saying. And have you let that narrative affect your preparation? Have you let that narrative alter what you're doing? Or is it business as usual for Mike Green?
I mean, I take all the criticism and all the black clashes as fuel.
Yeah.
And I've always been that type of dude. And not only did I want to represent myself, like I want to represent Marshall. And Marshall's a place that's very special to me, regardless what anybody else has to say about it. But it means a lot to me, and Marshall is at a sentimental place in my heart, and it's a place that I can never forget. So not just only representing and going out there and show guys what I'm made of. I'm going out there showing and representing Marshall. Like this dude from Marshall is able to do this. So it's just great to be able to represent for a university that just cares about you so much.
Well, we're going to get to that here at the end because I got most folks that come through here and remain and finish up here have what they feel like is a strong tie, a bond to the community and the city and the program, because our program story is different than every other program story, right?
Correct.
But the NFL draft is coming up in April, and you're deep. I know you're deep into your preparations. We've talked stats, we've talked accolades, but when a team drafts Mike Green from Marshall University, what type of player are they getting? What type of dude are they actually betting on?
Yeah, they're getting a guy that has a great character. The way I just carry myself and the personality I have, I'm versatile when it comes down to personalities and how I'm able to fit in different cultures. And I think like player wise, I'm gonna be able to just go in there and showcase my talent still. And I'm never gonna settle for less, and I'm never gonna just feel comfortable in the spot that I'm in. So when I get to a team, I'm gonna continue to increase my skill set on and off the field.
I love this, right? I'm never satisfied. I will not be outworked. Like all
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. Man, you got you're just the very best of what we hope our program is. That's what we love to hear as Herd fans. But versatility, let's talk about versatility in your game a little bit, because this is the one thing I alluded to in the beginning. The one thing that seems to be missing from your game is all the jawing. Like, what is that? You're the quietest great player that I can ever remember at Marshall. Like, I know on the field there's in the throes of the game, there's words being, but in an era where everybody is a brand or trying to be a brand, it seems like you just go out there and let your work do the talking. Why is that? Do you simply prefer to let your play speak, or is it? I mean, please don't give me I'm shy, because you can't be a beast of a defensive end and tell me I'm shy. So why no jawing?
Yeah, man, it's just I think that just goes back to the kind of person I am. I'm more of a watch me and watch how I play type of dude, rather than just going online and just speaking about something and not everybody deserves a reaction. You know
Love
what I'm
it.
saying? And when it comes down to like just being on the field, it's like if I'm going back and forth with somebody, I got too much energy and I'm not going hard in this play enough. Like I'm not going hard enough in this play. If
Oh,
I if I'm able if I'm able to go back and forth with somebody for a long period of time, I'm not tired enough. That means I'm not playing hard enough. So it kind of just goes back to that, man. And Street, he also did a good job of maintaining when it came down to guys going back and forth on the field, especially like on the defensive line. It's like there should be no discussion on the field. Like we're here for one reason and one reason only, and that's to win the football game. So you shouldn't be out there going back and forth with somebody. Like you need to save that energy for the next play.
holy moly. I'm going to take that diamond of advice right there. And I want to reiterate that to young D linemen, young football players that might listen to this show. That was a nugget of excellence right there. If you've got energy to jaw, you're not going hard enough on every play. That was something I would have never considered, right? Because I just
Yeah,
think it's part of the game. And
yeah,
dude, I love that. That was a nugget of pure gold right there for a young player or any player. If you got
yep,
time to talk, you ain't going hard enough. Wow.
yep.
Wow. I wasn't expecting that. That was knowledge right there. That was true knowledge. Before I let you go, though, you've got to tell me why. You've got to tell me why. You mentioned that Marshall's special to you, but why? I don't want to guess. Herd fans don't want to guess. We like to know why people love our school. And it's your school. It's not ours. It's ours. Me and you. Why Marshall? What will keep you coming back to Huntington years down the road?
Yeah, I think just entering the transfer portal, trying to seek out options and places that I can continue my new start at. Marshall was, I want to say, one of the only universities that was going to be able to take me. When you have a little bit of film and you're a young player, it's kind of hard to get picked up in the portal. And just Marshall is just a place that. I talked to them one day, and the next day I was on a visit, and the same night I committed. So it's just like Marshall believed in me, and Marshall was able to give me an opportunity to have a fresh start. And it's like, hey man, like if there's one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show respect for the Marshall community and the university. It set Marshall setting me up to be at this point now. I know like sometimes people could say like, of course, but you still have individual success, but there is no individual success without Marshall. And
Mhm.
so it's just like along the process and along the journey, I was just able to meet the best of the people that I've met in my life, and I'm able to interact with the community, going to parades and doing voluntary work and all these other things that you can even imagine. It's just like my time at Marshall was a setting stone in my career, and it's just like I feel like I owe a lot to Marshall, regardless if Marshall don't feel like I owe them anything. I'm still going to be the type of dude that has a extreme amount of respect for the university and to the community.
Yeah, I can't speak for the university, but as a fan base, I feel like I've got a certain amount of clearance to say certain things, and I think as a fan base, the only thing that we would expect from future Mike Green is to come back to a game every now and again. Let us see you at a spring game years down the road or next year or whenever you can. It's because in this current landscape of college ball with the portal, and you have so few guys that stay 4 years anymore.
Hmm.
And it's the teams like Marshall that really connect with their players that I think hurt the most, because guys come and guys go, you know.
Yeah.
And you could have left if you'd have chose to come back and play college ball. You could have left and gone anywhere. And selfishly, I said on the Thundercast, I hope he doesn't transfer. I hope he goes pro, because he will be a Marshall guy forever. And luckily for me as a fan, that's what you did.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the hell out of that. I really do. You
Yeah.
know, you're on a roster with a couple of guys from 24 that are going to go down as this generation's a new generation's herd legends. You
Yeah.
know, there's three of you particularly, and I hope to talk to the other two guys too at
Yeah.
some point. But I've got to tell you this, while to get you out here, I want to thank you for joining me. This has been so awesome, man. It is. Thank you so much. I wish you good health and good fortune as you continue your path to the NFL. Like I said, you gave a new generation of herd fans their own legend to cheer for. But for guys like me that are a little older and come from a different era, you'll be talked about in the same breath as guys like Vinnie Curry, as BJ Cohen, as John Goddard, these defensive linemen that are just on the Mount Rushmore for
Yeah.
Marshall University. You're that guy, you know. And to have done that in 2 years, you know, in 26 games, to rise to that level, to rewrite the record books, it's simply amazing. It's simply amazing. And I'm very thankful to have been able to watch you play live many times. I'm very thankful that you have been a great ambassador to Marshall University. You're a hell of a guy, a character guy, a high motor guy, a football guy, you know, and dude, I hope you go on and have a 20-year career and just live your best freaking life. But don't forget about us down here in Huntington, West Virginia, while you're grabbing the world by the horns, man. I really appreciate your time. I really,
Yeah,
really do.
yeah, man. Of course. It was a pleasure being up here and being able to share my experiences and talk to you and show the love that I have for the community and uh, just 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 extremely thankful. And also I could have went somewhere else for my second year, and I decided to stay at Marshall, and that tells this community everything that they need to know about me. And
That's right.
it's just I came back and it was with one goal, and that was to win the Sun Belt championship, and we did
Yeah.
so.
Dang, you sure did. Guys, I am KD Hubble. That is Money Might Dream, and this is Inside the Thunder. We'll see you next time